Okay, everyone, welcome back. So today I'm gonna wrap up my Ready to Love part 3 finale of What Happened to Peetey. So many of you have asked what happened to Peetey, so here goes. Now, a few years ago, I ran into Peetey, but let me give you the backstory first if you didn't see part 1 or part 2. So Peetey is, or was, maybe he still is, I don't know, a friend of my then ex-husband. He was also the best man at my wedding, and Petey was the type of man who had a roving eye. I mean, from woman to woman, um, he would try to talk to me, yes, even while I was married to his best friend, try to get at me when I was pregnant with my first child. He actually hooked up with my matron of honor. It also turns out that Petey got with her sister, and they had a baby together. Petey was a mess. Not only was he a mess, he was kind of what you would call, I guess, a rolling stone, but that was Petey's life. So about 5 years or so ago, me and my new friend, or a new boo, was actually sitting in a restaurant. And you're in a restaurant, you're sitting there, you're talking, having a conversation. And when you're looking around, you kind of see, what's going on and stuff like that. And there happened to be someone who I saw looking in my direction. I was like, who is that, right? So I kind of like looked and tried not to look too hard because you don't want your new boo to think that you are on the creep. You know what I'm saying? So I look and glance. I'm like, it's just whatever. I don't recognize that person. Then a few minutes later, that person actually got up and came to the table. Y'all, it was Petey. Petey was like, don't I know you? I was like, I don't know, do you? He was like, I'm Petey. Aren't you Kay? I'm like, yeah, Petey? Yeah, girl, what you been up to? Giving the old, hey, how you doing, stuff like that. And my new friend, my new boo was like, who is this man? Who is he? So he introduced himself, Petey introduced himself to my new boo. And was like, you guys want to come to our table? It's no problem. We got you, whatever. So I was like, okay. My friend was like, okay, I guess so. So when we get to the table, there was like 5 other men at the table. Well, Petey introduced me to his friends, and guess what? Petey has changed his life. You will never guess what Petey does for a living now. I'll let you guess. I'll let you think about it. Just wait for it. Petey is now a deacon. A deacon in the church, y'all. A deacon in the church. So Petey told me that he became a deacon, a couple years ago. And he originally, when he left town, he went to Maryland because his family, some of them are in Maryland. He left to go join a group to become a rapper. Right. Because back then, becoming a rapper was hot. I guess it's still hot, depending on who you listen to or whatever. Petey wanted to be a rapper. I could kind of see Petey being a rapper. Not the actual rapper, though, but like a hype man. Because he was a good hype man, get the ladies, get whatever going on. That was Petey's thing. So when he told me he was a deacon, of course, went through my mind was like, he definitely had a come to Jesus moment somehow, right? So sitting at the table, one of the people there was actually named Pierre, right? Petey, Pierre, what are the odds of this? And they were preaching or whatever they were doing to underserved communities. And I was like, okay, Petey, whatever, that's nice and all. So I kind of, after I listened to what they were talking about, which they were doing a good thing, and kudos to Petey for doing that then. I don't know if he's still doing it now. That was a couple years ago. But also I learned, like whatever happened to, your kid's mom, the first mom, and whatever happened to my friend's sister and her baby and all that stuff too. Turns out that Petey now has 7 children. And 2 of those children are Irish twins. And if you don't know Irish twins or what that's considered, that's when you have 2 kids that are the same age because they were born less than a year apart. They are actually 10 months apart. I'm not surprised with that with Petey. Like, honestly, I'm not surprised. But, hey, that's his life, whatever. Now, about the sisters. I still don't know if the 2 sisters are on speaking terms. The last I heard, they weren't. And, I mean, I don't understand that because Peetey was neither one of their mans, and the matron of honor, matron means you're married, right? Which means you were stepping on your husband. But let me get back to Peetey. You know, all that stuff was such a long time ago. To learn that he's a deacon now and that he's doing good things in the community, things like that, I really hope he keeps it up because, you know, he had a wandering eye. And, you know, sometimes deacons, preachers, stuff like that can have a reputation that may not be the best as of late if you heard some news about different little things. But I'm happy that he, you know, has turned the corner and is not, I don't know, what's the term, dipping it and doing it. Well, guess what? Peter decides to give his business card and invites us to the services that were upcoming. So I took the card and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go because I just want to see what's happening here and just the things that he's talking about and just the type of church that he's in and just all that comes along with that, right? So after we leave the restaurant, my new friend, my new boo's like, I cannot believe it was like that back in the day. Your ex-husband allowed him just to come over when he wasn't there and just let him talk to you and hang out all that stuff. I was like, for some reason, he didn't seem like he was minding that Pete would knock on the door a little bit before he came home. Like, I thought that was strange. I was young then, real naive when it came to something like that. But I'm like, yeah, he didn't seem to have a problem with that. Like, they didn't get into it. They stayed friends as far as I know. So that's just the way he went. He was like, nah, if it was me, that would have never went down. Like, me and him would have had a serious problem. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. Because you know what? Looking back at that now, that was wrong. And now that we know, in the other videos that I mentioned, that Peetey was on the creep, that definitely is a problem. So, jumping into the services. So I went to the early morning services, and you know, it was a typical church service, all the things that go on there, so on and so forth, right? But after the services, I waited outside for Peetey, you know, because everybody's saying hello to everybody and, you know, thank you for coming, stuff like that. And then once Peetey came over to me, he was like, oh, how'd you like everything? I'm like, it was cool, it was nice. You know, it's good to see what you're doing now, stuff like that. He was like, so you want to go out to eat tonight? I was like, okay, you guys going somewhere, you know, for church something or something like that? He was like, no. Do you want to go out to eat tonight? I was like, no, Peetey, I'm good. So, you know, saying all that, Peetey, I'm not going to say he's still not a Rolling Stone or has a roving eye, but that was a little inappropriate, and it brought me back to my 19, 20, 21-year-old days when Peetey was talking about, can I come over and stuff like that. So sometimes a tiger doesn't change his stripes or whatever the case may be. But what I did learn too, I did mention before at that dinner, that he is still in contact with the matron of honor sister because again, they have a child together. But the sisters, I learned, still don't talk. And that's a shame to let a man who neither one of you was really talking to anyways stop talking to, because the matron of honor, she worked it out with her husband, but you know, they've had a lot of issues along the way with cheating back and forth with them, and he has outside kids, and just it's a whole mess. It just seems like the people in my life then was doing a whole bunch of just stuff that I don't know, that should have been like on then what Maury is now, like a Jenny Jones, because it was a Jenny Jones type of segment back then, like for real, like a whole bunch of stuff went down. Like, it's amazing. The sisters will be a whole different story time from what I know then to what I know now and where they are today. So to wrap all that up, I'm happy that Peetey, I guess, has his life together. I mean, he did as of 5-6 years ago. Hopefully he don't have no more kids by now, honestly. Woo, he was a mess, but it was good to see that, you know, at least he changed his life around to get to a point where he is in the church and helping out, you know, communities and families who are in need and things like that. So I guess, but thank you so much, everyone. I know that was a really quick story time. No real updates to Peetey, but if I do run into him again, I will definitely come on here and let you know if he has any more kids or what else is going on in his life. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you to all our new subscribers and our old subscribers. And we'll see you all this coming Friday for our live Ready to Love Season 3 Part 2 season finale. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. And as always, live simply, Be grateful.